Oh, wait, hold on. Am I not? I haven't disabled game chat, I don't think. Let's fix that. Nope, I didn't mute game chat, so we're good there. And I believe we got 19. That is Yigat Babali. So, if you'll allow me just a sec to make sure that we are good. Lightning speed racing YouTube. Oh, hold on. Nope, there's the ping. In chat, so I can just grab it from there. Copy message link. Nope, hold on. Just throwing this in the group to chat. Copy text. Get rid of the add everyone. All right. So, counting down, but getting ready to dive in here with Group 2 here at Spa-Francorchamps. Again, another big lobby, which is great to see. But yeah, again, should be a very interesting one. Hello, Viperize. Of course, definitely going to be hoping that you have a little bit better luck this time around than you did last time out at Canada. But we are out of the break, and it does seem to be at least dry for the moment, which means I get a little bit of time to get set up here. We'll go lap data, and we'll go with that full track map, so that way that is all ready to go. But yeah, it should be an interesting one. Based on the fact that I haven't seen anything here in chat, I believe we are looking at double dry sessions in this one. Oh, and there's a little bit of echo because I had to pull up the stream to make sure that I can see chat because it's been messing with me a little bit recently. But we are getting underway, and a couple of cars are making their way out onto track, led by the Irishman of Viperize, who is, at a lot of points during the season has been the quickest driver. Of course, last weekend out at Canada, out-qualifying the competition by a couple of tenths. Unluckily, though, has had a lot of connection issues over the course of this season. So, struggling a little bit in the standings, but as of right now, it's Kendrick's leading the way. As I can give a brief update on the Group 2 championship as it sits. So, Kendrick's up at the top by about 20 points. As of right now, it's Formula Jonah in second, followed by Eric Too Fast for You, Speedy Gunner, and Speedy Gunner in that order. As Guardian Knight already retiring from the session, so he'll start from the back. Of course, he has to serve a quali ban from our most recent round at Canada. And then in the constructors, of course, it is Alpine with a rather comfortable lead, about 70 points ahead of Sauber in P2. But we'll stay on board with Viperize here. Of course, longest lap on the calendar, both in real life and here. But should prove a very, very interesting race. But yeah, of course, best of luck to everybody. Definitely agreed there. But yeah, 20 corners, very long lap, very high speed at a lot of portions. So going to see a lot of low downforce setups. And of course, slowest, very odd. R Striding has now left the session. I'm not sure what's happening, but I am getting an odd spectator bug as of right now. I don't know fully what's happening. Give me a second to check the Group 2 chat. Okay, Striding's wheel doesn't work, so that's why he left the session. But yeah, Viperize making his way in through Sector 2 now. Just going to be aware that we are having some issues. Viperize has now left the session as well. So a whole load of connection issues early on here. So I'll try to get them back in. Again, apologies about this. I'm not fully aware of what's going on, but Viperize has left, so hopefully those issues do not continue. We'll stay on board with the Haas in the pause menu just for the moment, while I look to bring Viperize back into the session. Yeah, a little weird display bug because my time did not reset when we started the lap. Purple Sector 1 for the Haas of Void Dawson. but it does look like it'll be the McLaren of Oreo Hafrican who will be the first to set a lap. Of course, coming down the backside of the circuit right now, blasting into Blanchimont. And now down again, very hard braking into the bus stop chicane. It'll be a very quick race in terms of total laps. But here comes Oreo into the bus stop. Very clean there from the McLaren. Of course, power down, looking to get everything you can out of the exit there. And the bar will be a 146.410 from Oreo. A couple of cars coming in behind him. One of the Ferraris next cross line is going to be Bartu Katukalan. On a set of mediums to start, but I think just trying to get used to the circuit, and he'll drop that time by quite a lot. It's a 144.2 for the Ferrari driver. Luke the Duke, meanwhile, puts in a 145.2 as well. Stratting has also retired from the session. He may be trying to do that again. It does seem like he's back. Void Dawson, 145.0. If you'll excuse me, I will invite our Stratting once again, because, yeah, I'm not sure why we're having those issues right now, but hopefully they do get sorted before the race. So I'll go ahead and re-invite Stratting. But, of course, with it being a long lap, very easy to, at some point, run a little bit off-circuit and result in an invalidated time. Speedy Gunner, 148.5 outlap. He's going to be pushing now. Bar 2, a second down. Dawson is going to be lifting off here. Of course, 2.7 down through that first sector. Going to be trying to make his way back around. Luke the Duke as well. The Griggs now retiring from the session. That is actually a crash out of Radion and Eau Rouge. So the V-Carb actually with a bit of an incident there. We'll try to jump to the Williams of Jim, see where that was. Actually, that was well after that section, so I'm not sure fully what happened to the V-Carb driver, but Griggs will not settle lap time in this one. Speedy Gunner, of course, pushing. Gumball on an outlap. Jim, meanwhile, Jim, Formula Jonah on a push. We'll jump to Breakfast King, who I believe is the furthest along at the moment. Yeah, only 2 runs in. I think that's why we're seeing a couple of drivers go for medium tires, so that way they can take a cool-down lap and then a second go of things. But it is currently bar 2 with the 144.2. Here comes Breakfast King out of the final couple of corners and to the line. It's going to be close. It's going to be 144.7, which is enough for P2 for the McLaren. So again, only 5 times on the board as it stands. Jim, of course, making his way to the end of Sector 2, so we'll keep an eye on him. Formula Jonah, at least showing as a purple Sector 1 on my end. Here comes Speedy Gunner to the line, though, and that'll be good enough for P2. Again, on a set of mediums, that's a 144.5 from Speedy. Looking to take the fight to the Ferrari up at the front. So, it'll be Jim now. So what can the Swede do? Again, he's on a set of softs, making his way through the chicane and putting that power down. Going to cut all the way to the left, so going to lose a little bit of time there. It's only a 145.3 from him. So the medium's potentially the tire to go to at this point. Can I get another in, says... let me figure out what that is. Can I get another invite, says doesn't exist. It shouldn't. Oh, wait, hold... Oh, crap. So that might be an issue of... because we switched hosts. As there comes the other guy to the line. Again, sorry about the issues in lapses in commentary, so hopefully that one works out a little bit better. Formula Jonah, though, to the top with a 142.222. So the Keck Sauber looking to try and close the gap to the Alpines, as we do have Viperize joining this time, thankfully. So he will be back in the session, at least. Though whether or not he will get a lap time in. Yeah, Stratting, I think it was because since we technically have a new host right now, I think that was some of the issue. But Chris Strakasaur out on the lap. So is Awesome Gumball, 31.1 through that first sector. So pretty good from him for the Kick Saubers. Speedy Gunner on a bit of an in-lap, running a bit wide down that backside of the track down at turn 16. And is now, I think, just going to stay off the circuit as he is out of fuel. So I believe then it's the Williams and Jim, who currently does sit 7th after that lap he put in. But not a very busy track as it stands. Viperize, once again, leaving the session. Got to restart, won't let me take control. If it's not letting you take control, I would just stay in the session, Viperize. Obviously not getting a, I think definitely try to get a lap in. But it probably isn't worth kind of continuously doing that, and it's probably worth more being in the session when that timer runs out, just so that way you will still get control of your car before the race start. That's exactly what I was going to say. It would retire you, and then you could run the race. Yeah. No, I'm still showing as Viperize is unretired, just in the pits. But it definitely retired Stratting. But Dachal now, I believe, is one of the few on a wrap. So is Rostamol. So is Dracosaur, who's actually coming to the line. 1:15.1 through the first two sectors. Out of the bus stop now. And powering towards the line. And he'll go up to the top by about 0.3 over Formula Jonah. So Dracosaur able to put a nice little lap in. It's a 1:43.9 from the Mercedes. Let me go ahead and get Viperize another invite. There we go. On EA, I mean, I'll send you one via both, just to be safe. Okay, well, yeah, there you are joining, at least. So, don't know if that's the issue, but Dachal, again, Dachal actually pushed that further. It's a 1:43.7 from the V-Carb, so that lap time seemingly going to continue to fall now. Rostamol making his way along the circuit as well. He hasn't gotten a lap in as it stands. Bartu as well on a push lap, coming up to the end of that Sector 2 timing marker. Of course, crosses that, and he's 0.8 down as of right now. So his time going to drop rather significantly. And that's going to push the bar even further. So here comes Bartu down the backside of the circuit. You'll only get one lap, though. Okay, well, that's good. And you do have control of your car, which I assume as well. So here comes Bartu to the line. How much extra time did he pick up? He'll pick up a second. So it's a 1:43.1 is now the benchmark. 6.5 minutes left to go in the session. Still plenty of time to go. Kendrick's invalidated his lap. M. Requiem going to push lap 31.4 through the first sector, and a bit of a front lock up there as he went into turn number 10. Again, continuing to push here. The Haas of Rostamol looking to push. He's on a lap, so we'll keep an eye on him, as is Luke the Duke up ahead of him. But Strachosaur, Dachal, Bartu, all on in laps as of right now. So can Formula Jonah potentially put a lap together? How much time is in the bank for all of these drivers? Breakfast King just starting a lap. Speedy Gunner just starting a lap. And again, just to take a quick look at... no, I want to see detail as of right now. So everybody on softs, but a number of these times were set on mediums. Jim, of course, finishing up an out lap. But yeah, Speedy Gunner and Breakfast King going to be two drivers to watch out for as we come to the tail end of this qualifying session. Yeah, going down the order, Strachosaur, a 10th down through the first sector, but he is pushing. So we'll stay on board with the Mercedes as he continues on his way. I believe that's M. Requiem slotting into P11 with a 1:46.0. Yeah, again, Strachosaur making his way through this middle sector. Can he pick up any extra time? Of course, going into Stablo, back end slides out, and he's down 1.3 seconds, so potentially taking a bit of a recharge at this point in the lap, but not going to be able to put one together. Speedy Gunner up a 10th through that first sector, but going through Poo on there, lost the back end a touch, so again, he's probably going to lose a little bit extra time too. Again, I assume he would have enough fuel to take another push lap of things. Breakfast King, meanwhile, up over 0.6 so far through his lap. Of course, coming down through Blanchimont, down into turn 18, and just 2 turns left to go in the lap here. Of course, hard on the brakes. Top 4 all in the pits with 4 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. Viperize is out and driving, which is good. But here comes Breakfast King to line. He'll pick up 6/10. That's a 144-1 from him, so he'll jump up into P4. Here comes Speedy Gunner behind him. Up 8/10 through that first sector. Only going to be up 7/10, so that was with a big slide in that middle part of the racetrack. And he still puts in a 143.8, so we'll see if the Red Bull has enough fuel in the car to potentially take one extra stab at things in the dying part of this qualifying session. M. Requiem, only up a 10th. Gumball, meanwhile, jumps up to the top. That's a 142.6 as the Kick Sauber driver goes comfortably clear and puts pressure on some of those other drivers. M. Requiem up only a 10th through the first two sectors. He's actually just going to dive into the pits here. I think try and get a fresh set of tires and maybe an extra lap in. There should be just enough time to do that. Oreo Hafrican coming around the final couple of corners into the line again. I think it's more of a setup lap from him at this point. Actually, he's going to match his first lap time, so potentially not. Viperize as well. Is only going to get one shot at this, but the Aston Martin driver is back at least. Yeah, Breakfast King and Speedy Gunner were both on laps recently, so we'll see if they have to dive into the pits here. Kendricks actually is out of fuel, so Kendricks will not get another lap from P8 on the grid as he's run out of fuel about halfway around this lap. And so I think there's almost no way that this Alpine gets back around and back out in time to set another lap. So Kendricks will start almost certainly no better than P8. And again, only a couple of drivers still in the pit garage. As time winding down now. Speedy Gunner gonna try and just really push it through that final chicane. I don't think he's got enough time either, though. It will be very tight as he dives into the pits. Yeah, Kendrick's not on a lap. Jim actually with a spin there out of turn number 16. So we'll have to yield to some traffic. But yeah, Yiggett on a bit of a push lap. Viperize as well, looking pretty comfortable. 114.7 through the first two sectors. Again, still enough time to take another push lap at things if he has saved enough ERS. But again, it's a very long lap, so you're probably going to use a lot of it. Number of drivers starting their final laps. Luke the Duke on an out lap and pushing. 1:40 left to go in qualifying. So not much time to try and get extra laps in. We'll jump on board with Viperize coming out of the final corners into the line. It certainly looks to be a very competitive lap time in his one go of things. It's going to be a 143.1, which is good enough for P2, but Gumball thinks he is in the clear. So it'll be Viperize currently with a lap time to put him P2. Bartu, I think, will not get a lap in, so he'll be third. Speedy Gunner does not think he'll improve from P5. Meanwhile, Dachal improving slightly through Sector 1. Formula Jonah as well on a lap. I didn't see if he was improving at all. Oreo Hafrican on a push lap as well. Yiggett is going to run wide there, so that's his qualifying over. So the Red Bull will not start any better than 14th. Boyd Dawson on a push lap. There's a big train of cars coming down the Camel Straight. But I do think it is going to be Dachal leading the way for the first of the final laps of the session. So we'll stay on board with the V-Carb driver. Up 4/10 now through Sector 2. Again, that purple, I believe, indicative more of a personal best. So he's going to push his way around the back, down this backside of the track through turn 18. But he's going to run a little bit wide on the exit there. He's going to lose that lap. So Dachal, big loss there from him. He is going to have to dive into the pit lane, but he will start no better than 4th. Bartu also pushing on an out lap. He does not have enough time, so Bartu, his qualifying session will be over. Strakasaur is invalidated. He's not improving. Breakfast King will not get a lap in. Formula Jonah coming to the line. He was up 3/10 through the first couple sectors. He'll jump up to 7th with a 144.0, so good lap time from him. Couple of cars coming down the back straight. Void Dawson lost a lot of time in Sector 3, so he will not improve. What about the other McLaren? That's Oreo Hafrican ahead of him. He's invalidated. Viperize is not improving, and so I think that will do it for qualifying. Because I don't think anybody is improving. Bartu has left the session. M. Requiem has been disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. So M. Requiem will drop to the back. But I believe your grid will be Awesome Gumball in first, followed by Viperize and Bartu. Dachal in 4th, Speedy, Strakasaur, Formula Jonah, Breakfast King, Kendricks, and Void Dawson will round out your top 10. if you'll excuse me, I will try to get Bartu an extra invite so that way he can get back into the session. And I believe I can. Yeah, I think that's certainly something to be happy about. Striding, if you're listening, I cannot invite Bartu. Yeah, Oreo mentioned that was a bit of a struggle of a quality session. I think a number of drivers struggling to get laps in late. Actually, Luke the Duke still apparently on a lap, as is Rostamole. But those will be the last two to cross the line here. Luke the Duke is going to have a shot at actually improving that lap time, potentially. It won't be by much, doesn't appear online. Luke the Duke will actually jump up in the top 10. He'll jump past Void Dawson. But that will be your starting grid for the race. Yeah, Stratting, I can't invite him because I don't think I have him added. And he's not showing up on my list, so I'm not sure if everybody left the game on his end or what happened. But yeah, I don't see him online. Again, I can at least scroll down to start of EA stuff. But actually, that might be him. Actually, that might be somebody completely different, but we'll see. But yeah, Awesome Gumball, the American, starting on pole with a pretty comfortable advantage over everybody else. And so we'll see how it goes. Turkish guys have him added. Okay, so if that works, then we'll go for that. But it will be Gumball on pole with a 142.6. And of course, got to see dry qualifying today as opposed to Group 1 yesterday, which we had a very, very damp qualifying session as Bartu does rejoin. So again, if Bartu or anybody with him is listening, definitely be patient trying to take over the car, as there are some issues in trying to do that, typically, but you might not be able to take control immediately. But we will move over to the race now. Of course, potential to see a lot of stuff happen here on lap 1, especially on a very high-speed circuit. Turn 1, very, very tight, and then it's full speed, full throttle all the way down into the Lacombe chicane, down to 7, 8, 9, which is also a spot where we could see a number of different incidents throughout the race. Saw a couple of virtual safety cars in the dry in Group 1 yesterday. I believe it was 2 virtuals and a full. So we'll see how that trend could continue. As again, it was a full lobby over in Group 1 as well. What's up, Stratting? I see you talking in chat. Can't choose a setup. Well, that's concern. I mean, I would argue no, we haven't done that for other drivers when that's happened, when they've disconnected like that. I know that happened in Group 1 in Canada last week, and we didn't, which is the only reason I say yes, Viperize, but you weren't retired from the session is the only thing. But lights are now going out for the formation lap, so Gumball will lead everyone away. And seems to be at least good getaways from the start. Of course, you got to make sure that you don't run into the back end of anybody. But Kendrick's already getting DSQ'd, so potentially making contact with somebody off the start. So Kendrick's already in a poor position. Stratting with 25 wings. Yeah, I think that's, because that happened in Canada with somebody as well. If it's too bad, you're just retiring. Okay. Yeah, again, if we had restarted in the past, then I would have said yes, but I think that's happened 1 or 2 other times so far this season. Again, just because EA makes beautiful games that totally, they figure out the logistics before they launch their products, so that way you can have a smooth gameplay experience with people from all over the world. Only where I said that it was true. Sadly, it is not. But, again, formation lap is underway. Kendrick's making contact with somebody there, is going to be bounced back to the starting grid, which means that they're only at Puon, and again, Kendrick's tire is going to be ice cold. It will give us a chance, though, with this long formation lap, just due to the nature of the circuit, that we do get to look at some of the tire choices, and mediums to soft, of course, in a full green flag race will certainly be possible. A couple drivers going for mediums. The top two both opting for mediums. Bartu's, at least his AI, is opting for softs. Of course, he cannot take control just yet. DeChal opting for mediums, as are Strakasaur, Formula Jonah, and Oreo African. Everybody else, though, opting for softs, including Kendricks, who got pushed back to the grid. So he, of course, will not be at quite as big of a disadvantage, luckily, having those softs, which will be much easier to heat up. But yeah, we should see that pit stop phase open up right around the midway point, right around lap 9 to 13, as when I would expect that to come. But Awesome Gumball now pulling up to the grid. Of course, it'll be the Williams of M Requiem last to park up, but a pretty tight pack as they're all coming into the bus stop now at around the same time. So here comes Gumball pulling up. So we'll see if anybody fails to get a good park job. You can see that Aston Martin of Viperize pointing very aggressively to the inside. Griggs gets disqualified. Bad parking job from him, and it's the Red Bull Speedy Gunner with an even more aggressive poke to the outside. Oreo African as well going to get disqualified, as will Stratting. Some very aggressive park jobs towards the front of the grid. 3, 4, and 5 lights. And we're underway here in Spa. Seems to be a good getaway from the leader. Speedy immediately going to go to the outside there. Going to dive back to the inside, though. Clean getaways from everybody as we make our way through turn 1. It's still Awesome Gumball in the lead. A little bit of damage out behind, and there's an Aston Martin out into the gravel. I think it's Stratting and Jim who came together, but it's going to be up into Radion and Eau Rouge for the first time, and it's a comfortable gap for Awesome Gumball. Stratting will retire after that one on track, so that car apparently not drivable enough, but it's Gumball and Viperize making a quick getaway as they spread out down the Kemmel Straight now. Gumball moving to break the toe, and he'll still hold the lead down into this chicane on lap number 1 as the field fans out behind them going into this chicane. Again, lots of battling here. There's the Red Bull of Yiggit looking down the inside of Formula Jonah, looking to take advantage of those softs. As again, that yellow flag for the retired LSR Stratting towards the back of the grid. But again, comfortable from Awesome Gumball here on lap number 1. There's a spun V-carb. Actually, that's the Griggs there in the background. Not sure what happened there through turn number 11, but he went round, so he'll be back towards Oreo African. He'll actually fall all the way back to the tail of the leading cars. But coming down through Stabilo for the first time, it's a half a second advantage from Gumball back to Viperize, but it's the front two now starting to make a breakaway. Speedy Gunner trying to hold off Bartu, who does seem to be back and in control of his car now. It's about the tightest battle on track right now. Actually, Formula Jonah and Yiggit is the closest battle on track. Aside from that, that'll be a little bit more to the background there. But Speedy managing to hold off here on lap number 1. Of course, DRS enabled now after lap 1. So we start lap number 22. Almost all drivers still in it and still fairly clean through lap 1. Of course, did have an issue at turn number 2. Luke the Duke finding a way past Formula Jonah, who continues to fall on those medium tires and is going to get pinched to the inside here. But as we go up through Radion and Eau Rouge, it's a little bit over half a second gap to Viperize, and then about a second back to DeChal. So DRS going to be open on the back of Viperize's car, and the front two have broken the toe to the cars behind. Viperize, though, coming down the Kemmel Straight here, not going to have a chance to overtake Gumball into turn 1. Kendricks, meanwhile, finding his way past Bartu. They're going to go side by side here through the Lacombe chicane. It's Kendricks now with the inside coming through the last part. A little bit of contact, and the Ferrari run a touch wide, but Kendricks able to take the position. But yeah, this is very good news for Gumball and Viperize, as breaking that DRS train is very important in order to make a breakaway, especially if they plan on working together throughout this race. Again, at least in these early stages. Of course, when you're fighting for the win, you're gonna keep going at it. But currently, it's Team Green up in front as we look at the predicted race strategies from AWS. Again, soft to medium and medium to and soft to medium, medium to soft is probably what we'll see. We could see a soft to hard at some point, but I think that is significantly less likely. DeChal with a bit of a mistake as that gap has opened up to now 2.1 seconds. And now I'm getting a bit of a chat bug, so I got to pull up on my end as the chat is replaying a bit. Of course, no DRS in the run down to the bus stop, but that gap, again, still opening up. It's going to be a big fight behind. Breakfast King finding a way past Kendricks as Viperize sets the new fast lap. Of course, DRS open, you can see there in the foreground running into turn 1, but we'll jump back to this large train for third right now as Breakfast King looking to kind of attack and defend at the same time. Again, this is what we're going to see throughout the large portion of the race is some big DRS trains. Train from 3rd down to 8th, train from 9th down to 16th. So going to be very tight. Strachosaur first to get a track limits warning, but Viperize is going to breeze past Awesome Gumball here down the Camel Straight and down into turn 7. We have our first lead change of the day. Kendricks finding his way past Breakfast King. He's going to look around the outside. They'll remain side by side through Lacombe now, and Kendricks finds a way past. It's Breakfast King with a little bit of a touch onto the gravel, but manages to keep hold of that McLaren. But importantly, DeChal manages to hold on to 3rd. Viperize, though, takes the lead in that Aston Martin, and now going to look to make a bit of a breakaway. Yiggett manages to find his way up ahead of Guardian Knight as those two continue to battle. Again, Formula Jonah struggled a little bit in the early stages, and actually, I think he's got somebody has damage there. Who has the damaged front wing? I think it's the Haas. Formula Jonah was run wide as well. He has not had the greatest start to this race, but we've seen how he tends to pull back these races as it continues. Gumball, though, looking to save a little bit of ERS. We'll come back to that battle shortly, but that gap from P2 back to P3 is now opened up to 4 seconds as DeChal looking to continue to defend from this large train from Speedy, from Kendricks, as, you know, all these cars very tight in the train, as you can see them blast by that close range camera shot there. Speedy going to take a peek to the inside. Not quite going to have a move on, though. So DeChal continues to hold up this pack as we start lap number 4. Gumball, meanwhile, takes advantage of DRS into turn number 1 to take the lead. Speedy Gunner, meanwhile, does the same there, getting past DeChal. Actually, no, DeChal manages to hold on, so Speedy Gunner may be going a little bit deep. But is Viperize just holding up at this point? As you can see, that train in the background. Yellow flag in Sector 1. That's for a Haas. That's for, I believe, Rostamole running out of space. Gumball defending. Viperize going to be closing with DRS, but not quite going to have it. So Gumball managing to take advantage. Speedy Gunner, though, will use DRS to now take the lead of this train. A little bit loose going there into turn number 7, but managing to hold on to that Red Bull. And we have a new leader of the DRS train, Strachosaur, meanwhile, getting past Bartu, who may potentially had an incident there, as he ran off track out of turn, and then inside there of turn number 9. So he'll fall back to this battle for 9th, currently being led by Guardian Knight. But again, becoming quickly a 2-car race up at the front. Really only 4 packs in it now. There's, of course, this lead pack. There's the chase pack led by Speedy Gunner. Then you kind of got to go back. Strachosaur starting to fall off that pack a little bit, and then it's Bartu back to Boyd Dawson. And then you start to get spread out a little bit from there. Formula Jonah a little bit on his own on the medium tires, which of course will continue to come into their own throughout the course of the stint. And then you got Jim and MREC, Rostamo, Oreo, Hafrican. I think going to wait for DRS, going to look for a bit of a switchback out of the final chicane. Of course, DRS going to be open in the run down to turn 1. Speedy going to defend the inside here from the charging V-Carb driver. Going to have the inside here as DeChal goes deep. It is going to be Speedy then very tight here. He's going to have to keep to the inside, though, as Kendricks was then there on the outside, but they'll file back in. And so now it'll be Speedy with the DRS advantage to potentially go chasing back after DeChal in this 5-way fight for 3rd. But coming down the Camel Straight once again. And it's still comfortable. Viperize, I think, comfortable just to hold back. Again, both drivers here good on fuel. DeChal a little bit light on fuel. Speedy rather heavy. Kendricks, meanwhile, has to save some fuel. Breakfast King and Strachosaur going wheel to wheel, and it's going to be Breakfast King coming out taking advantage. The Ferrari's battling as well, and will look to be a brief bit of contact there, though it may have just been lag between the two pair, as they currently sit in P8 and P9. Of course, coming down into Puan, it's still DeChal with the advantage, but again, that gap just continues to widen to the cars out ahead. The Williams also battling as they make their way into turn number 11. Bit of a lock up there from Gumball. But taking a look at ERS, yeah, Viperize, I think, just comfortable sitting behind, managing the tires right now, and just continuing to break away from that pack behind. Of course, especially with those lead two, going to be hoping for no safety cars at this point. Meanwhile, this kind of first chase pack starting to make a little bit of a breakaway. Breakfast King and Strakosaur continuing to fight. Strakosaur right on the gearbox of the McLaren. And that DRS gap has opened up a little bit. It's at 1.2 seconds right now, so Breakfast King and Strakosaur potentially losing time. Very loose there from the McLaren, drifting through the bus stop, and actually going to lose a couple tenths more. And so potentially Dachal, Speedy Gunner, and Kendricks with a bit of a breakaway coming now from Breakfast King and Strakosaur. And could that pull Bartu and Guardian Knight into a fight for a couple more points? We'll have to wait and see. Gumball, though, receiving a 3-second time penalty for track limits coming up there through Radion and Eau Rouge. So advantage now to Viperize here on lap number 6. Kendricks, though, meanwhile, making his way past Speedy Gunner. The Red Bull just potentially not having a good go at things there. He's going to try to get 2 in one go. And down the Kimmel straight, Kendricks will jump from 5th up to 3rd. A little bit loose, though. The V-Carb into the back of him, but no damage on either car. Can Kendricks continue to hold on to it as they make their way down into turn number 10? He will. So it's still Bartu from Guardian Knight. And again, it's this chase pack in battle for 8th. It's 8th down to 13th. And then about 3rd down to 5th with Breakfast King and Strakosaur trying to keep pace. But the battle up the front just keeps pulling further and further away as Awesome Gumball and Viperize continue to stretch this advantage. Kendricks, of course, will have to save some rather significant fuel. Breakfast King, I think, struggling on those tires now. Yeah, if you it's kind of hard to see down at the bottom. Breakfast King, those rear tires are really starting to get overheated at this point. At least for me, it's about 220 degrees Fahrenheit, which is rather hot, and that rear end will get rather slippy. So potentially, Breakfast King with some rear issues. Yellow flag in Sector 2. That's for the V-Carb of the Griggs having an incident there, and I think he's just struggling to keep that car under control at this point too. I think similar issues at this point in the race, just trying to keep that car going, but he'll get back underway here on lap number 7, so about a 1/3 of the way through. And so car is going to be continuing to push, but that gap up to 8.3 seconds now. Of course, Kendricks, though, going to be under threat. Strakosaur, you can see there in the wings. Yeah, a couple of drivers now just may potentially be in their own races. Gumball continues to hold that lead. Kendrick's now going to have to defend down the Kimmel straight. He'll go to the inside, pop back over to the racing line, and Requiem dives into the pits and will be our first stopper of this race. But it'll be Kendricks holding on to P3 as of right now. Guardian Knight and Bartu, I think, going to swap places and defend from Yigit. That's actually a McLaren round, though. That's Breakfast King with a bit of a mistake. He'll recover that McLaren, but he'll drop all the way to 12th, which puts Formula Jonah back up into the points. He's side by side with Luke and actually going to look to go to the inside of Formula Jonah. A bit of contact there as the McLaren looks around the outside. Formula Jonah going to drop 2 spots due to that. But again, up in that battle for the lead, Kendricks still looking to defend. That's, again, said this a couple of times already, but the one thing that is pretty, this game is far from perfect. But the pack racing that you get in this certainly can be a lot of fun when done cleanly. Here comes Dachal, though. Bit of a run here on Kendricks, closing to a 10th and a half as they make their way through Blanchimont. Into the bus stop now. That gap going to widen up slightly. Here comes Dachal, though, to the inside here at the bus stop chicane. He'll get past. Kendricks, though, going to tuck inside. And contact between Speedy Gunner and Kendricks. Big damage for Speedy as Kendricks goes round. Speedy just too much pace there. And so Kendricks going to fall right off the back. That'll certainly go for review. But big mistake there from Speedy Gunner, and he'll have to dive into the pits and get a front wing change. And so he will swap to hards. Meanwhile, Viperize and Gumball swapping places once again down the Kimmel straight. So it is pack racing in this chase group. Of course, coming up through Radion and Eau Rouge now. DRS going to be open on a couple of cars. Bartu going to have DRS, so will Yigit. Breakfast King in that chasing group. Luke the Duke, Formula Jonah all looking to get back up in the points. But it's now Dachal a bit on his own now in 3rd and going to be looking to try and stretch that advantage. Bartu and Guardian Knight actually going to swap places now as potentially just a bad run there for Guardian. as they hit about the midway point of this circuit. And lap number 8 of 22, so still lots of racing left to go, but approaching as Breakfast King actually spins round at the exit of turn number 11, so I think just failing to get on the power. He will recover that McLaren, so no safety car. But again, just more struggles for Breakfast King that I think center around as Oreo receives a 3-second time penalty. But I think the main issue with Breakfast King right now is those rear tires, so potentially something for that other drivers may have to watch out for as this race continues. Of course, up at the front, it's Awesome Gumball going to be retaking the lead. Start of lap number 9 from Viperize, who of course will have DRS. Again, we'll just try and stick with this battle for 6th, as it seems to be the closest one on circuit as of right now. Again, Bartu Guardian and Yigit looking to continue to try and make a charge here. DRS, of course, going to be open for them. And then, of course, that chase pack, Luke the Duke, Formula Jonah, who's actually going to find a way past down the pit straight. Of course, pulling out now, and it's into the gravel for Yigit. 2 more drivers diving in the pits, Rostamol and Breakfast King. I think probably opting for the hard tires here. It seems Guardian Knight and Bartu continuing to work together a little bit here. Just trying to keep out of each other's way. And Requiem, 3-second time penalty for track limits. But yeah, again, it's really becoming the Gumball and Viperize show, as Gumball actually now looking to potentially stretch the legs of that kick salver a little bit. Potentially going a little bit lighter on the tire wear here. Or is he looking to now box in the early stages? He's opened that gap up now to over a second. And that gap just continuing to rise. So Awesome Gumball going full attack right now as he looks to bridge a gap back to Viperize. 1.3 seconds now. As I'm not fully sure what happened with the car, but it does seem that, Gumball potentially looking to get that offense going, as he has now broken DRS as they come back to the pit straight, but he'll spin. Awesome Gumball, as I was saying, he started to lay the hammer down, has made a big mistake there coming out of the bus stop chicane, and so now it's advantage Viperize as that gap going to open up to about 3 seconds. So big mistake there out of the bus stop for Awesome Gumball. So now he's got all of the work to make up as Jim and Formula Jonah swap places coming down the back straight. Formula Jonah as well getting the 3-second time penalty for track limits. Here's Jim taking a look to the inside of Luke the Duke, but not quite able to get anything done. Of course, the battle for 6th continuing to rage on. Strakasaur as well, getting a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Void Dawson, Oreo African, both opting to dive into the pits now. Oreo actually going to retire from the session in the pits. Ferrari's going to swap places once again. I think the Red Bull behind just happy to kind of hold station. As there goes Oreo. Jim, actually Luke the Duke going to drop 2 spots. Thanks to DRS advantage, that's going to make Jim now the leader of this battle for 9th. Again, that yellow flag in Sector 3 for the retired Oreo African, but that will bring us down now to 17 drivers. Again, as we approach that halfway point here on lap number 10. But been a pretty clean race so far in this one, as Bartu receives a 3-second time penalty for track limits. But he's managed to make a bit of a breakaway here from Guardian. But yeah, the pack's spreading out quite a bit at this point in the race. Again, Gumball has managed to close that gap by about 7/10. So he's pulled it closer. But again, prepping for that pit stop phase as we start lap number 11. Wouldn't be shocked to see a number of soft tire runners start to dive into the pits here. Kendrick's a bit on his own in 5th. Is going to opt to stay out. Guardian Knight gets a 3 seconds, so it'll be Bartu, Guardian Knight, Yigit still on the field, and here so Bartu will dive into the pits here on lap number 11. Yigit will follow. Guardian, of course, will stay out. Formula Jonah going to opt to stay out on those mediums, but Jim will dive in. So will Luke the Duke. So Speedy Gunner will gain a couple of places on those hard compound tires, which of course will still be rather comfortable. He'll gain a couple of extra positions, actually. He was up closer to Kendricks as he did have that incident with him. So we'll still jump up to 8th And actually, his front wing, I think, is still damaged. Yeah, he doesn't have a left front wing end plate, so Speedy Gunner may be struggling for pace at different parts of this race, but of course it is a pretty long pit stop. And that work he did early before having to dive into the pits is certainly paying off for him. It's not significant damage, but certainly visual for Speedy, currently in 8th and the leader of those who have made their first stops. And of course it's 9 seconds back to Yigit. Bartu actually maybe had a bit of an issue there. He's dropped some spots. He'll pull past Jim, though. So he'll jump back up into P10, coming down into Lacombe. But now it becomes a very interesting scenario here for these drivers in the chase group. Of course, they do have clean air, which is not the advantage that some of those trailing cars have. So we'll see how much... Because Bartu definitely lost a chunk of time there in the pits. So we'll see how much that impacts him. Gumball, meanwhile, has managed to close to within DRS range of Viperize as both the leaders still opt to stay out. So Gumball still making it a race on track, despite having that 3-second time penalty. Now's a chance to potentially recharge some ERS now that he has the advantage of DRS. But the top 4 all staying out. Here comes Kendricks. This time he will dive in. So the Alpine, of course, making his way into the pits now. Going to get that car slowed down. Guardianite as well will opt to dive into the pits. Formula Jonah will continue to stay out in this one. But again, here comes the Red Bull of Yigit coming through Blanchimont. But yeah, here comes Guardian into the pits. He'll serve that tire change, and he'll come out. He actually opts for the hard compound tires. So a bit of a surprise that we're seeing drivers opt for the hards instead of the mediums. Speedy Gunner will come out ahead of Kendricks, but I'd imagine Kendricks will still get him rather quickly with that medium compound advantage. Guardianite will meanwhile come out comfortably ahead of Yigit and Bartu. Luke the Duke and Jim swapping places through turn 1. Yeah, Kendricks, of course, DRS advantage on Speedy, and again, a comfortable back behind to Guardianite in 8th. So I definitely imagine that front group, again, Formula Jonah may have some issues, but he could come out right in this fight between Yigit and Bartu, so that'll be interesting to see. Void Dawson with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Luke the Duke taking a look to the inside of Jim, but not able to make anything happen. Bartu, though, looking to make a move now on Yigit. A little bit squirrely through there, but not going to get one done. Viperize an awesome gumball, though, down this back straight as we jump on board with the Aston Martin coming now down into the bus stop, continuing to stay out, at least in the early phases. Viperize continues to stay out, as does Gumball. So again, going long here are your 2 leaders. Will DeChal choose to get aggressive, at least on his own? No, he'll continue to opt to stay out, though I'd imagine it will be very soon that we'll see the medium drivers opt for the softs. I'd assume it'll be within the next lap or 2. Front 4 opt to stay out, but it's really that top 5 that's still yet to have pit. Kendricks, meanwhile, still has not found a way past Speedy Gunner. Though again, they're comfortably in their own race. Formula Jonah, though, will finally dive into the pits. Awesome Gumball, meanwhile, will retake the lead over Viperize on track. Again, I think Viperize happy to just sit in the back of that pack and wait for right now. But here comes Formula Jonah down the pits. Of course, here comes that chase pack out. So we'll see where Formula Jonah comes out. Of course, he will opt for soft, so he'll have a big advantage over this chase pack, and will be the only driver on circuit on soft. So we'll see how he can make them work. Starting here, lap number 13. He'll come out, I think, just ahead of Jim. We'll see if he can get a good drive out there. He will not, so he'll drop to 11th. Here comes Luke the Duke looking to the inside through Radion and Eau Rouge. Bold move there from the Alpine to gain another spot. But again, Jonah going to continue to gain an advantage on those softs throughout the remainder of this one. But it's, again, a big train from 7th now down to 13th. Here comes Yigit on Bartu. He'll get that move done. But the front 4 still yet to pit. So still lots of time left to go. And again, Awesome Gumball and Viperize will be comfortably safe up at the front there. So should Strakasaur and DeChal, especially considering Speedy Gunner has some damage. It'll certainly be interesting to see as this one continues against, actually Jonah losing another spot to Breakfast King. So those softs not really working for him in the early stages, but he'll now make a look down the inside of the McLaren, who chops him off a little bit. But again, Formula Jonah, I think, going to want to get that done. Viperize, meanwhile, dives into the pits. That Aston Martin opting for the softs. So Viperize choosing to dive into the pits early, try to get that undercut, make it work. Jim and Bartu, meanwhile, swapping spots. As Bartu a bit of a struggle, as he lost a bit of time. Again, a bit of a pack behind as well. Bartu really close, going to look to the inside here. The Williams, of course, going to have to go a little bit deeper. Breakfast King, though, looking to continue to scythe his way through. He's up into 11th and now is putting pressure on the Ferrari. Yellow flag in Sector 2. That's for the V-carb of Dachal in P2. So he's going to lose a lot of time. So that's going to allow Strakosaur to jump back up. And Viperize, of course, right on the tail of them as well. So, of course, he is on those softs. So we'll see how much of an advantage he can make of them. But, of course, he will now have a little bit of traffic to work with. Kendricks, meanwhile, manages to find his way past Speedy Gunner at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Again, very tight pack here towards the tail of the field. Formula Jonah looking to get some moves done. He's actually going to cede position to both Luke the Duke and I think Bartu there, as nothing came of that. But I'd imagine we will see Gumball dive into the pits here. Again, Viperize being a little bit held up. Going to make a bold move there on the outside of Dachal, though. Great move there from Viperize to try and gain as much time as possible. Really utilizing all of the track limits, making his way through there. But your leader, Awesome Gumball, will dive into the pits. Again, gets that car slowed down, so no penalty for him. So how much of that undercut will work for Viperize? Because I'd imagine we'll see Strakosaur and Dachal dive into the pits now. Strakosaur will, as will Dachal. So here comes Awesome Gumball. Those tires changed. He will trundle out of the pits. There is Viperize making the run down into turn 1. Awesome Gumball is released, and he's going to be slightly ahead of Viperize as they come out, but it's going to be a good run for Viperize down into Radion and Eau Rouge. But again, Awesome Gumball will have that DRS advantage now, and will have the chance to continue to get that move done. Of course, that wing going to open up on the back of the Sauber. Viperize going to defend the middle. Gumball going to switch to the inside here as they make their way into the chicane. They're going to remain side by side here, but it'll be Awesome Gumball that comes out in front. Strakosaur, meanwhile, getting ahead of Dachal. Kendricks, meanwhile, very tight on this pack. Formula Jonah actually leaving the session, so we'll try to get him back in. As again, another connection issue there. So I'll try to get him back in, as he's had a connection issue, and we'll hopefully see that Kickstarter driver come back. Again, Gumball the lead on track, but it's Viperize after penalties. Speedy Gunner in 5th. Stratting has also left the session. Though I don't believe he was our host anymore, so that shouldn't prove any issues. But lap number 15, and again, it's comfortable for the top 2. Followed by Dachal in 4th. Speedy Gunner looking to continue to manage that damage in 5th, that front wing end plate. We'll see if he can keep pace with Dachal, though I doubt it on those hards. But he'll try to keep defending from Kendricks. Guardianite then in 7th, followed by Yigit, Jim, and Bartu. Rostamol receives a 3-second time penalty for track limits. But Viperize at least setting a new fastest lap, so again, looking to try and get maximum points here. Again, just trying to stick with the Kick Sauber driver. And again, just limiting mistakes, I think, is the name of the game here for Viperize. Because if he does get that 3-second time penalty for track limits, then it's race on. And as they come up Radion and Eau Rouge, again, still pretty tight, but it's an 18-second gap back to the likes of Strakosaur. And Viperize will take the lead on track. I think Kendricks as well, looking to save fuel as of right now. Still 4/10 down, so lots of short shifting for the Alpine. And I think just trying to take his time here. We'll jump through all the drivers, see if how light anybody is on fuel. It seems that everybody is okay at this point. Breakfast King can dive in the pits. Formula Jonah's AI also going to dive into the pits, strangely. So, don't know what happened there. Don't know why that happened, but certainly a shame if he does come back. Awesome Gumball receiving another 3-second time penalty for track limits, so that's probably race over. But very confusing as to why Formula Jonah's AI would pit there. Yigit, meanwhile, receives a 3-second time penalty for track limits, battling with Jim. Gonna look around the outside here. Jim, though, continuing to defend. He'll hold the inside for this first part. Yigit running a little bit wide again on the exit there. And so the Swede in the Williams managing to hold them off for now. And of course, Luke the Duke there, waiting in the wings, trying to get something done. There's the Ferrari of Bartuk taking a peek to the inside, but not getting anything done. But again, Viperize now with a net 6-second advantage over Gumball here as we start lap number 17. So pretty comfortable as he sets a new fast lap of the race as well. So if you'll excuse me, I actually have to respond to something on my end. Well, actually, yellow flag back in Sector 2 and in multiple flags. Breakfast King going to retire from the session after a spin, and there's Haas off track as well. That was Void Dawson off into the gravel. Awesome Gumball and Viperize, meanwhile, swapping places once again down the Kemmel Straight. And again, Kendricks, I think, just holding off, trying to manage fuel. Saved about a 1/10.5 that lap. So Kendricks just trying to make sure he has enough fuel to finish this race. But a very spread out pack. It's Yiggett leading this battle for the last of the point scoring positions. Of course, it's Jim currently on the outside. Again, just looking to keep pace here. Here comes Bartu on Yiggett. Of course, with this being a green flag race pretty much the whole time, Breakfast King has left the session now, but we can take a look at position changes. Guardian Knight up 10 spots is definitely the big winner. M Requiem also gained 7 as Yiggett going to run a little bit wide into the gravel, so potentially going to, and is going to run on the outside there. Bad rejoin there from Yiggett, and he'll go off into the wall. As you have to recover, so it will be a virtual safety car there. You got to start moving. You gotta start moving that car. All right, there we go. There will be a virtual safety car. But it will take him out. And yeah, it's just a bad rejoin there. Yiggett just trying to rejoin. Luke the Duke not obligated necessarily to give him space in that scenario. Again, he ran off track. It's his duty to rejoin safely. And so Yiggett gonna fall now out of the points and lose lots of time back to Jim. So, should be race over for the Red Bull, who also has some pretty serious wing damage. But we will go back to, we'll actually take a look just at the penalties here in the closing stages. Strachosaur and Dachal also going to be a close race, as will Strachosaur and Speedy Gunner net on penalties. A couple of drive-throughs, the Griggs and Void Dawson getting speeding under VSC penalties. But Gumball with a great jump there. Void Dawson will retire. I believe that is manual here on lap number 18 and 22, so his race is done. But Gumball now with a 2-second advantage, so he got a really good jump compared to Viperize. So could Gumball want to now drop the hammer on those softs, try and pull away and build a 6-second advantage? As we are having host migration here, so hopefully not a considerable issue. Actually, it was Void Dawson who was our host, which is surprising. Luckily, seemingly all clear, though. No major bugs, which is good to see. Rostamol up into 12th is going to be battling with Griggs, who's going to make a look down the inside. The Haas very deep is going to get some damage there as the Griggs tries to go down the inside, but again, it's a battle for 12th. Jim now comfortably in 10th, going to be trying to pick up maybe a couple of more points. Of course, Bartu does have the 3-second time penalty there, as does Guardian Knight, so Luke the Duke potentially looking at 2 positions. But again, the pack really spread out now. Speedy Gunner and Kendricks, the closest battle on track, is now Kendricks taking advantage of that VSC to get enough fuel in his Alpine. Still not really pushing, and a little bit wide there. But Kendricks should now have the option to push. He'll, of course, have all of the ERS at his disposal. We will start lap number 19 now. So yeah, if you will excuse me, I do need to get that thing set up. That happened briefly before we had that virtual safety car. As I'm just getting something set up there. There we go. All right, so that is prepared. I need to get something ready personally, and we'll do that. All right. But yeah, again, Gumball now really stretching. Really starting to struggle here, and it's, become advantage Gumball. Last couple of laps. Kendricks, though, finally putting the pedal down and getting up ahead of Speedy Gunner as they make their way into the final. 3-second time penalty for track limits, so that's a big loss for him, though, so that should confirm Kendrick's there. Jim, though, finding his way past Luke the Duke as they battle over that extra point. Positions, and Gumball continuing to stretch that advantage over Viperize. He's found a lot of pace towards the end of this race. Is that Formula Jonas AI pitting again? Why did Formula Jonas AI pit again? That is very confusing. But again, pack very spread out. Rostamol receiving another 3-second time penalty due to track limits, but that shouldn't matter. But it's Gumball now with a 4-second advantage. Again, 3 laps to go now. And if you're looking at Bartu and Guardianite actually swapping paces as they come down the backstretch, but if you're looking for some more commentary from myself, would appreciate you jumping over to my personal channel of Vic and Haddock. It is live right now. Would appreciate you jumping over there. Going to be doing some NFL commentary, if that's something that you're interested in. But again, starting lap number 20, and the pack's really spread out. It's really Jim and Luke, Bartu and Guardian for the points. And then it's Awesome Gumball versus that gap back to Viperize. And potentially Viperize looking to manage those rear tires. So potentially that is, actually that is more of an issue on Speedy Gunner, on Viperize's car rather. Specifically that rear left-hand tire, 215 degrees on Viperize. It is much, much cooler on Gumball's car. So potentially that's some of the issue. Greg's getting an additional 10-second time penalty while looking to serve that drive-through. But the gap up to 5 seconds now. So Gumball looking to continue to push here. If you'll excuse me for a second. Still looking to... Hold on, figuring things out. So there we go. Just want to make sure that that is all good. Alright, so that's ready. But yeah, start of lap number 21, and that gap up to 5.1 seconds. Again, Viperize your net leader, but it's 9/10 is the gap from Gumball back to Viperize. I think Gumball just done a much better job at managing those tires as we continue here. But yeah, Bartu and Guardianite have managed to make a bit of a breakaway from Jim and Luke, so they're not looking to lose positions behind them unless they come to blows. But again, just 2 laps to go. Can Gumball manage to pull this one out? 5.5 seconds now, the gap. So yeah, I think it's just that, Gumball has managed those tire temperatures significantly better. And you can see taking a bit of a higher gear through there, only taking 4th through that section, so potentially that over-revving hurting Viperize as well. But I think Gumball is race, so which would be great points. Second sector for the penultimate time. That gap now over 6 seconds. So as it stands, Gumball will be the winner of the Belgian Grand Prix. And of course, Strakosaur working on those penalties as well. He's got Dachal and Kendricks waiting and potentially chasing him, as Kendricks has been able to really throw down the gauntlet. Yigit, meanwhile, receives another 3-second time penalty as he looks to recover. Yeah, Kendricks really closing that gap to the cars ahead, so he could be potentially looking at a podium. And then, of course, would just further extend his Drivers' Championship edge. But we will start the final lap here. Lap 22 of 22. Only one virtual safety car, so been a pretty quick Belgian Grand Prix, but through La Source through the final time. That gap now up to 7 seconds, and it's been Gumball versus Viperize pretty much the whole time in this one. Been, of course, had a decent chunk of wheel-to-wheel battles, but worked together well to pull away from that pack, as shown by Viperize's 26.5-second advantage back to Strakosaur. But it's been a great race from the pair, but Gumball just showing a lot more pace as Jim receives a 3-second time penalty for track limit, so that should round out the battle for P9. as they look to start their final lap. But Gumball just been dominant, had a dominant showing in qualifying comfortably on pole. But Viperize took the fight to him. But at the end of the day, just Viperize not able to hold those softs together for long enough to keep that gap at around 6 seconds. We saw that issue with Breakfast King during his starting stint on the soft tires. The Griggs receives a 3-second time penalty and will retire from the session. Of course, no safety car at this point, but there will be a yellow flag in Sector 2. But for the final time, Awesome Gumball making his way onto Paul Ferrer. Through Blanchimont he goes. And it'll be the Kick Sauber comfortably coming home. 2 seconds now, the advantage after penalties, as DeChal and Kendricks closing in on Strakasaur. We'll definitely jump to that fight in just a second here. But here comes Gumball out of the bus stop chicane for the final time. It's Jonas AI in front of him, but it will be Awesome Gumball winning the Belgian Grand Prix for Kick Sauber, despite the 6 seconds of time penalties. It'll be Viperize coming home in P2. Still a good showing from the Aston Martin, despite struggling with some technical issues during the qualifying session. But it's Strakasaur now, defending from DeChal and Kendricks. Bouncing all over the place, actually, is the Mercedes driver, but Kendricks is going to have one opportunity here to try and make a move stick. Out of ERS are both the V-Carb and the Mercedes. Here comes Kendricks down the inside as DeChal has actually run out of fuel. DeChal running out of fuel, so that's going to leave Kendricks with the advantage now. So Kendricks will come across the line to round out the podium after penalties. It'll be DeChal in P4. Strakasaur will finish 5th. Speedy Gunner going to end up in 6th ahead of Bartu in Guardian Knight. Jim and then Luke the Duke will round out your top 10. So we'll stay on board as this continues. It'll just be a couple of drivers looking to round out M. Requiem, Rostamol, Yiget out of the points. And actually, I'll take the chance real quick to go through our incidents for our drivers later, should they require them. And the Griggs left the session, so he was our new host, and so that'll do it. But we at least do have our top 10. I don't know what happened there, but something certainly happened. I think that'll be the end of the stream, though. Yeah, I think that's it. Well, that's the end of the stream. I know, kind of anticlimactic, but we did get our results there. The top 10 did finish, so that, of course, will count. And we'll see you